Welcome to our Griffin-Spalding County Board of Education General Body Meeting. Today is March 18th, 2025. The meeting is starting at 6:07 p.m.
The meeting is now called to order.
Awesome. Let's give our scholars a wonderful round of applause. We're going to start with our roll call. District 1, Arsentel Brown, here. District 2, Kimberly Register. Here. District 3, Zachary Holmes. Ready. District 4, Cherry Weldon, she's ready for tonight. And District 5, Ms. McDonald.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. Now we're going to go to our prayer and pledge. Our prayer will be done by Leader Zachary Holmes of the 3rd, and our pledge will be led by our wonderful scholar who just called our meeting to order.
Mr. Chair, I want to do something, if it's pleasing to the board, that probably hadn't been done. I want to call up Dr. Seabrook Royal to do the prayer this morning, this afternoon. Come on up, Doc.
Thank you. Let us bow. Dear Lord, we come to you this evening in the most humble way that we know how. We come asking for your blessings, and we pray that you will bestow upon this board to make the right decisions this evening. And we just thank you for all that you have done, all that you're going to do, and it is in your name that we pray. Amen.
All right, thank you so much. That will be led in our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and with liberty and justice for all.
Amazing. Let's give our scholar another wonderful round of applause. Our school spotlight today, all right, you may be seated. Our school spotlight today is Ann Street Elementary. Let me find my... Ms. Ray, do we have the spotlight? All right, we are the Ann Street Elementary School. We are Flying High Eagles. Currently, we serve a total of 337 scholars in grades pre-K through 5. We have approximately 50 faculty and staff members, where I am the proud principal. This is from Dr. Seabrook Royal. What I am most proud of is the sustainability of our staff over the past 3 years. Lately, I found it hard to put into words my emotions. It's rather been challenging for me to craft a positive message, to see the past, the rhetoric of politics that seems to be defining the current state of our public education in our country. I often find myself thinking about the challenging work of staff members are faced and how they defend the college and career readiness standards, of how schools will manage budget woes, but I was quickly reminded of my why. If I am not careful, I will fail to see what is happening at my school every day. We have created a space for scholars to learn and grow. It didn't hit me until the 3rd grade teacher shared her great news. All of our scholars who completed the vocabulary lessons for iReady passed with 80 or above. Let's give those scholars a wonderful round of applause. Exceeding their SMART goal from the Breakthrough Challenge via the DMG District Initiative. Let's not stop there. On February 25th, scholars in grades K through 5 participated in Ann Street's first Black History Museum that included prominent African Americans from various variation of decades, where there was an in-depth research conducted, which gave several of our scholars a space for innovation, reading, writing, speaking, and problem solving. We had several guests stroll through the museum, and it was clear that scholars knew their facts as they read about their figures, as well as observed others in action. These figures included famous athletes, inventors of hair care products, and the telephone, which all garner raving reviews. But let's not stop there. We had scholars who took 5th place out of 11 elementary schools in the Griffin-Spalding County Schools Reading Bowl, with 10 active participants on the team. Let's give it up for Ann Street again. Ann Street Elementary had 2 first-place winners in the District Literacy Days competition. Give it up again. Here's where we talk about growth. Ann Street Elementary Scholars boasted a 1.6 gain in the overall CCRPI content mastery, a 4.4 gain in the CCRPI elementary score ELA mastery, 10-point gain in the CCRPI score for progress in ELA, and 2-point gains for CCRPI readiness. Let's give it up for the great things that are going on at Ann Street Elementary School. Well, since it's your last one, Dr. Roy, I'm going to read all of this. Let's not stop there. Celebrated Reader for 2023-2024 indicated that scholars took 3,948 tests with an average Lexile score of 471, and for 24-25, scholars have already taken 4,887 tests with an average Lexile score of 616. All right, give it up. That's great. All right, and I think he's going to stop here because this is his last bullet point. Ann Street Elementary has increased the number of scholars who qualified for the Gifted program from 3 in 2021 to 23 scholars in 2025. They are proud to have taken second place in the basketball competition for the past school year with only 5 players, ending with 4 because one had to leave early for an AAU game amongst 4 teams. It is now gearing up for a first place win on March 22nd. While we have not reached our destination, if there's such a thing, we realize that there's a lot more work to be done, but we are well on our way to greatness. Ann Street Elementary is a special place because we are intentional in creating an environment where everyone has the opportunity to fit in and there are no outliers, and we believe that everybody is somebody. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, let's give it up for Ann Street Elementary School, our school spotlight.
Great. This is excellent considering that 82% of schools in Georgia are experiencing a teacher shortage, according to the Professional Association of Georgia Educators, known as PAGE. Academic gaps are being closed. Changes in adult practices are leading to these results. Teachers are owning the work. We are building capacity and striving to have a positive influence on the Griffin-Spalding County community.
We are intentional about getting to know our students and families. We acknowledge, respect, and celebrate students and families. At Ann Street, many of our students, about 1/3, walk to school. We serve a close-knit community that lives in very close proximity to the school.
Our staff cares a great deal about this community. We provide special supports to our families, like our Backpacks for Kids program that sends home food over the weekend for students in need. We have a washer and a dryer at the school that families can use, and we partner with an organization called the Dorm Moms to provide an in-school food pantry.
Ann Street has many strong community partners that help us support students and families. Preferred Choice Child Care Centers, Copper Chemicals, and Purdue Paint and Body Shop are strong partners. New Mercy Baptist Church and the Fairmont High School alumni provide excellent partnerships and provide needed resources. We work with community and schools, and we partner with our local Spalding County Collaborative on multiple programs, including mentorship. We also work closely with the City of Griffin Police Department, who has a new community outreach center near the school.
Ann Street partnered with an author named Stanley Tucker to provide an author's workshop for our students. Several of our students have now written and published books. Literacy is a priority at Ann Street, and we have a book vending machine to help grow students' at-home libraries and fuel their love for reading. We use the Accelerated Reader program to track students' reading and allow them to compete with one another for prizes awarded based on their reading accomplishments.
Here at Ann Street, we believe every child can unlock the power of words. K-2 teachers use the Orton-Gillingham Phonics program, which incorporates multisensory learning. With this approach, we can tailor learning to meet each student's unique needs fostering confidence and success in reading, writing, speaking, and solving daily.
Our school has a long history of serving students in Griffin. The original school located on Orange Street was called Spring Hill County School. Before the integration of schools, African American students were educated in this location. In 1950, a new brick building was erected here and the school was renamed Annie Shockley Elementary School in honor of a local African American teacher.
It later became Ann Street Elementary. For many years, the school served as a central location for all kindergarten scholars in Spalding County prior to becoming a pre-K-5 school. The school has undergone several renovations over the years. At Ann Street, we support the whole family, and we believe that nobody is a nobody and everybody is a somebody.
Again, let's give it up for Ann Street Elementary. Our scholar that opened the meeting today was Valeria Areola. Thank you so much. Let's give it up. That's right. Give it up for her. All right, we now have our board norms and protocols. For the first quarter, we are focusing on that the governance team agrees to operate in the manner that reflects trust, integrity, and positive communication. Again, those words are trust, integrity, and positive communication. This time, we'll move to our Griffin-Spalding County School System announcements. Leader Zachary Holmes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. It gives me pleasure to introduce one of our scholars to do our announcement. And as she make her way to the podium, her name is Alana Brooks. Go ahead. Allow me just to tell you a little bit about Alana. Alana is a 12th grader at Griffin High School. Some of her activities include the GSCS volleyball team, Key Club president, Beta Club member, GRCCA ambassador, work-based learning student at GRCCA, and she serves on the superintendent's newly created advisory council. Also, her college major choice includes psychology. Her first choice of college, the Fort Valley State University Wildcats. Go Wildcats. Her other highlights include she's top 10% of her class at Griffin High School, all A honor roll, perfect attendance, a part of the first volleyball team to make it to the state in 2022. I again introduce and present to others Alana Brooks.
Good evening. Chairman Brown, members of the board, and Superintendent Simmons. Once again, my name is Alana Brooks, and I'm a senior at Griffin High School. I would like to thank the Board of Education for involving scholars of the district in the policy and legislative process. The announcements for the March 18, 2025 Board of Education meeting are as follows. Tuesday, April 1st, 2025 will be the Board of Education work session at 4 p.m. here at 216 South 6th Street. Griffin-Spalding County Schools will be closed April 7th through April 11th, 2025 for spring break. And Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025 will be the next Board of Education board meeting at 6 p.m. here at 216 South 6th Street. Governance team, cabinet members, and stakeholders. This concludes the Board of Education announcements for March 18, 2025.
Thank you so much.
Amen.
We always love when our scholars are involved in the legislative process, and it's good to have our scholar here to provide our school system announcements. This time, it's time for the adoption of the agenda. What is the pleasure of this body as it relates to the adoption of the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda, please.
We have a motion on the floor to amend the agenda. What is the item you would like to amend, Ms. Register?
I would like to move the discussion regarding Camelot Theater to prior to public comments.
Prior to public comments, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. All in favor, please vote by raising your right hand. The item is moved, 5-0. Bang the gavel. Awesome. All right. We have, okay, now it's time for the item's been moved. Now, as it relates to the adoption of the agenda, what is the pleasure of the body? Been properly motioned. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. 5-0. Perfect. All right, now we are here at recognitions. Ms. Sue McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Our first recognition tonight is for School Board Appreciation. Mr. Pugh. He had to change his outfit. He's going to dance for us.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to recognize School Board Appreciation Week. Governor Brian Kemp issued a proclamation recognizing last week, March 10th through 14th, as School Board Appreciation Week in Georgia. To quote Governor Kemp's proclamation, "For Georgia to continue to grow, we must commit to our state students by providing high academic standards, trained teachers and staff, and adequate resources to all schools. Strong schools begin with great leaders." To quote State Superintendent Richard Wood in his letter to school board members, "In our state, I recognize the challenges you face balancing budgets, setting policies, and making decisions that affect students, teachers, and families. Despite these challenges, you continue to serve with passion, integrity, and a steadfast commitment to doing what is best for students. Your efforts do not go unnoticed, and your leadership is truly appreciated. This evening, we, the Griffin-Spalding County School System, express appreciation for our elected officials who serve on the Griffin-Spalding County Board of Education. Board members, we appreciate your commitment to public education and your service to our community and the students, families, and staff of GSCS. Please join me in thanking our school board members. And school board members, you all have certificates and items of appreciation in this room back here with your name on them. Thank you.
Their bonus check in there too?
We'll just have to let you go discover in a little bit.
Thank you, Mr. Pugh. Next, we have Mr. Brown, Chair, to introduce our BOE Scholar representatives.
Thank you so much, Madam Vice Chair. The Griffin-Spalding Board of Education believes that engaging scholar body and seeking its input and feedback regarding the district's educational programs activities is vital to achieving the district mission and vision and carrying out our strategic plan. To this end, the Board of Education supports the participation of Scholar Board of Education representative selected by the district's high school scholars. The Griffin-Spalding Education believes that the Scholar Board of Education representative will provide valuable student perspectives, ensuring that the voices of our scholars are heard in the decision-making process. We have interviewed incredibly talented scholars, and each of them has challenged us to think differently and to consider the whole child as we make important decisions on their behalf. Providing a scholar voice, ensuring that scholars' concerns, needs, and suggestions are considered in the decision-making process. Enhancing leadership opportunities, building stronger school-community relations, and promoting transparency. We engage scholars from Griffin High School, Spalding High School, and Andrew Zadok Kelsey Academy, the district's only non-traditional high school. We also included all high schools because every scholar voice matters. It is now my honor to introduce to you our Board of Education scholar representatives. Ms. Marissa Farrar, will you please stand? Ms. McDonald will present the challenge coin to Marissa. Marissa Farrar is a sophomore at AZ Kelsey Academy, and she plans to go to college after high school to become an elementary school teacher. Next year, she will be attending GRCCA, and she hopes to one day motivate children to be the best version of themselves. Congratulations to our scholar representative, Marissa Farrar. Marissa Farrell. Next up is Ryan Robinson. And a little fun fact about Mr. Robinson is that Mrs. Weldon was his teacher. Ryan Robinson is a 16-year-old 10th grader at Griffin High School. Ryan was born in Atlanta, Georgia, and lived for a very brief part of his life in Cobb County, Georgia. He has been a resident of Griffin, Georgia since he was 2 years old. Ryan was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder when he was 3 years old. He attended the special needs pre-K program at Jordan Hill Elementary School starting at 3. Ms. Kelly, his pre-K teacher, recognized right away that he was a bright scholar. He stayed at Jordan Hill for regular pre-K, then transitioned to elementary school at Cowan Road his kindergarten year. Ms. Cannell was his kindergarten teacher who recommended Ryan to get tested for the gifted program and was immediately accepted into Program Challenge. Cowan Road consistently challenged Ryan by sending him to math and science 2 grades ahead each year. His sister Olivia was not a huge fan of having her little brother in class with her and her friends, but the extra challenges stimulated him. Ryan has worked hard to continue to work incredibly hard to overcome challenges within his speech and his motor skills. Academics comes easy for him, and he loves to learn. Ryan was homeschooled during middle school due to COVID, but returned in person to Griffin High School. In high school, Ryan has fallen in love with the law classes taught by Ms. Moore at Griffin High. Ever since being exposed to her class, he has set his sights on becoming a civil liberties attorney. His hope is to graduate and attend college and law school in the future. Outside of school, Ryan is passionate about WWE and loves to research classic matches that have taken place before times he was born. Ms. Register of the Second will present him with his challenge coin. All right, and next we have Miss April Bama. Miss April Bama is a senior at Spalding High School. She is the vice president of FCCLA, the public relations officer for FBLA, the 4-H County Council officer, the International Thespian Society member, a Chick-fil-A team member, and serves on the Superintendent Advisory Council. In the fall, April will attend college and major in theater. In the future, she plans to be on the big screen stage and the big screens, helping talented youth step into their big spotlight. Ms. Cherry Weldon will present April with her challenge coin. Ladies and gentlemen, let's please stand and welcome our Scholar Board of Education representatives. All right, scholars, do you have anything that you would like to say?
I really appreciate this opportunity.
You have a microphone.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate this opportunity, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
We're happy to have you, Ms. Bama.
Thank you so much for considering me. I'm really part of the process.
Awesome. And Mr. Robert?
I'll say thank you to every board education member for the opportunity. I'm so grateful that I'm here right now. Thank you.
Awesome. Madam Vice Chair?
To have had the opportunity to interview the 2 students from AZK, I can tell you we are in good shape for the future. I'm going to say that again. We are in very good shape for the future because one of the 2 girls, I can't remember which one, took herself out of Spalding High School because she felt like she could do better if she was in a non-traditional high school. And at that age, in 9th grade, I believe it was, to know what she needed for herself, I was blown away. So we are in good shape, and please go out on the sidewalks of Griffin and share the good news that you had the opportunity to meet these wonderful students here tonight. Thank you so much. Next, we have Dr. Greer with the Spalding High School named AP Honor School.
Good evening, Chairman Brown, Board, and Superintendent Simmons. Tonight, I would like to recognize Spalding High School as an AP Honor School. The Georgia Department of Education recognizes honor schools based on 8 categories on the results of 2024 AP courses and exams. Spalding High School has been designated as an AP Access and Support School. These schools have at least 30% of AP exams taken by students who identified as African American or Hispanic, and 30% of all AP exams earned a level or a score of 3 or higher. At this time, let's congratulate Spalding High School as an AP honor school. I'm going to have Mr. Sands and the Spalding High School family to join the board up to take a picture. Let's give another round of applause to Spalding High School.
Mr. Brown, that concludes recognitions for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. McDonald. We were able to amend our agenda, so we're going to have Camelot Theater to come up to have the discussion for Camelot Theater at this time, and then we will move into our public comments. And so at this time, we will have our Camelot Theater discussion. Dr. Simmons.
Mr. Chair, good evening, members of the board. Mr. Harper, I'm not mic'd, I don't believe, so I'll speak loudly. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, faculty, staff, parents, guests, those of you that are online. Earlier this morning, you may or may not have seen, but I was made aware of a post that indicated that the superintendent had demonstrated what was perceived to be a lack of support for either the Camelot Theater program proper, or fine arts, or theatrical arts. I asked Mr. Chair if we could have this conversation in public because I think that was the best way to share what may have been some miscommunication, but certainly some misunderstanding. I think for those who may not know, it's important that you know. As principal, I had the pleasure of overseeing a fine arts academy that included visual, performing, and choral arts. Our students not only performed, but they competed locally, statewide, and nationally. As superintendent, prior to my being here, we had not had a coordinator, no one to advocate for the arts. So we actually created that position. There had never been a fine arts coordinator, but the role of that person was to ensure that when those students or the staff didn't have a voice here when decisions were being made, that someone would advocate and demonstrate agency for them. And so I'm proud of the selection of Ms. Jenny Wilson in that regard. The other side of that is we have been intentional in ensuring that the arts are not only present in our schools, but funded, and funded appropriately. More importantly, Mr. Chair, members of the board, faculty, staff, and members of the audience, I possess an undergraduate degree, Bachelor of Arts in Theater, meaning that I performed on stage in college. And so for it to be construed or perceived or communicated that I would not have a passion or support of the arts is just not an accurate statement. I attend performances within our school system, around the state, and around the nation. It's a passion of mine. I'm not sure how we got to that, but I do want to be able to say publicly in your presence, the essence of the miscommunication is that on April 14th, the Monday that we returned from our spring break, the spring break that I committed to not having our students and staff make up due to inclement weather days, we were asked if the Camelot program could have a day-long theater show. That would compromise us being able to have schools at the elementary level in the program challenge facility, as well as logistically trying to coordinate transportation and so on and so forth. I'm reminded that on April 22nd, that's the first day of the GMAS testing window. So said differently, 1 week after we return from spring break, our students and staff are met with the most critical time period of the school year. We were asked if we would consider ceasing school operations so that this particular theatrical performance could be executed. As superintendent of schools, as the lead learner and the instructional leader, it is my commitment to always ensure that if we do nothing else, we position ourselves to ensure that students are exposed to being able to read, write, speak, and solve. I regret that we could not adhere to consideration. Our students are assessed, they receive a score, and then we receive judgment. And I'm not one to place additional hardships in front of them or our staff in the effort of being a good partner. I think being a good partner recognizes the commitment of those that you're in partnership with. So up until now, I thought we had a good partnership with all of the partners that we have. I would like to maintain good partnerships with the partners that we have. But I do believe it's important that you hear this was not an effort to be disrespectful. This was not an effort to cut anything. This was simply my commitment to have school on April 14th because we committed to not making up the spring break. This is a school district that has already lost 6 days of instruction due to inclement weather, not including any illness, any family emergency, any other reason that students couldn't be exposed. And so I wanted you to hear that perspective, and we can talk more in depth about it, or we can, move forward at some other point. But when it's all said and done, there are 3 things that we shouldn't be asked to compromise. The process of educating kids, and while I do desire for all of our students to experience theatrical experiences, but it shouldn't be at the compromise of teaching and learning. We should be accountable for our actions. We should be professional in the things that we do, and we should communicate effectively. I've only asked for those 3 non-negotiables since March 1st, 2021. And I've said to our staff, on the days that we struggle the most, one of those things are compromised. I think this was one of those examples. But let it be known, for the record, I, Keith Simmons, superintendent of schools, has a passion for the fine arts. I am a thespian at nature. I support our students. I'm attending their performances. I clap. I donate. All of the things that you would expect someone who supports to do. But the one thing I cannot do is compromise what we are charged to do, and that's have school when school is in session. I'll yield the rest of my comments and my time, Mr. Chair, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Simmons. And most board members were made aware of the situation this morning. And I'm going to open up the floor for discussion amongst the members of this body to have a conversation, discussion as it relates to this. And so I'll start with Ms. Register, if you would like to begin.
Welcome, everyone. I think for people who know me also know that I have a huge heart for the arts. My daughter has participated in Camelot Theater. She participates now at Spalding High in their theater productions as well. So she also is a thespian by nature. I am not, but I support everything that she does. With that being said, after meeting with Dr. Simmons earlier, I do believe that this is just a calendar issue. Simple. We want to continue to support Camelot Theater, We intend to continue to support them, to let them continue to use the Enrichment Center as it's intended and as it was signed back in 2015, I saw earlier. I think it's simply just that they are requesting to use the space on April 14th, which is a Monday. And as an educator myself, I can tell you that Mondays are just really bad days to try to disrupt education and learning. So that's what I learned from my conversation. So I really do feel like it is just a calendar issue. I would encourage all parties moving forward to look at the calendars for all of our systems to make sure that they align better with the performances so that we can accommodate all of the requests that are made. But like I said, I do believe that the intent is to continue our partnership, which has been very strong with Camelot Theater. So I think that's about all I have to say.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And I just want to say that I've definitely been a supporter of the arts here in Griffin-Spalding. Mr. Lindsay was talking to him earlier, was in part of Mr. Lindsay's first class when he came to Griffin High School, and the choral program was a part of the first group that traveled outside of the state into another country with SCAT. Also, my years performing with Camelot Theater back when Jim Middleton was the artistic director. And so definitely have a love for the arts, but I think it boils down to a calendar issue and miscommunication. So what I want to do is challenge the Camelot Theater organization is to please reach out to Mrs. Kim Ray to schedule a meeting with Dr. Simmons. Also in that meeting will be Adam Pugh along with Miss Jenny Wilson. And I think this is the best way to move forward so we can go ahead and get a date narrowed down, and any other communication and things that need to happen from there, at least the parties that are involved in making these decisions and presenting to the Board of Education are there. And so I will yield the rest of my time to other members of the board who would like to participate in the discussion. Leader Holmes, you good?
I add, Mr. Chair, after seeing all that had transpired and talking with Dr. Simmons, it was only one day out of a multitude of days that performance was scheduled. And I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that. And it was never said that the school system or the superintendent would not support Camelot. It was just said that that one day was a conflict. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that. Thank you, sir.
Okay. You good? Y'all good?
I just wanted to say that I support what Dr. Simmons said, and I do believe it's just a breakdown in communication. I have no desire to cut ties with Camelot. A lot of our students in our schools are part of Camelot, and through the years and as an educator myself, I always supported the arts for every student, every life that I touched, hopefully, and that their lives touched me too. So this is a doable resolution, can be had for sure. So I just appreciate the words that Dr. Simmons mentioned and Ms. Register and other board members that have spoken. So it's doable and we'll get it done. Thank you.
Mr. Fowler, are you here? All right. I would love for you, before you leave tonight, not now, but before you leave, please get with Ms. Ray, and she'll be able to schedule that meeting that I just mentioned between you, Dr. Simmons, and the other parties. Thank you. All right, so that is it on that discussion. All right, so let's move on to our public comments. There are some rules and regulations for public comments, and we'll pass it to our scholar representative to give us those guidelines.
Board Policy BCBI Guidelines for Public Comments. Any individual desiring to speak is requested to give his or her name, address, and the group, if any, that he or she is presenting. The speaker is expected to address the board, not the audience. The presentation should be as brief as possible, yet should include all the information considered important by the speaker. Unless the extension of time is granted, each speaker shall not exceed 3 minutes. Questions, suggestions, proposals, or criticisms that have been presented verbally should also be submitted when practical in writing and should be signed by the individual or spokesperson of the group appearing before the board. Persons appearing before the board are reminded as a point of information that members of the board are without authority to act independently as individuals in official matters. The board members will not give remarks or provide comments from speakers. The board chair or presiding officer will refer speakers to the superintendent and district staff as necessary for further resolution. No profane and/or vulgar language or personal abuse against any person will be prohibited. The board vests its chairperson or other presiding officer authority to terminate the remarks of any individual who does not adhere to the above protocols.
Thank you so much, so much. So we do have some scholars that are signed up to speak, and so board, I just want to lay this out there that we are not going to put a timer on the scholars. Is everybody in agreement with that? All right, so we will not put a timer on our scholars who are speaking. And so this time we'll start with Mr. Brad Fowler.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me here and for having my supporters here. I do appreciate it. I am Brad Fowler, 20 Stillwater Trace, Griffin, Georgia. I have lived here all my life, and I've been a part of Camelot Theater this is my 23rd year. I started there, small scale, and I took over in 2006 as the president, and now I'm the president and the principal director. I'm not paid, I'm going to say this up front, I'm not paid in any of those 23 years for anything that I have done. I do this because it is important. It is very, very important. I have seen firsthand what it has done to these kids, to these people on the stage and off the stage and everywhere involved. I've seen the effect of, and I want to say those on the spectrum have come to me. I should not have given them the part. They did not deserve the part. It just did not go well in the audition, but they needed it. I saw they needed it. They needed to be on stage. They needed to be self-confident. They needed the push. And I have had people come in on the spectrum, go sit by themselves, isolated. We pull them in over the course of 3 months. Now they're leads in the show. I've had that most recently in Diary, where I should not have had somebody cast, and I said no, and then she ended up in a lead in the very next show. All right. Also, train. I had one of our most difficult lighting show was a trap we just had. It was very complicated. And I had a 12-year-old operate the lighting console, $13,000 lighting console, very complex. It took me months to figure out. I trained her in the 3 months. She ran it without even talking to me about it. She would just do it, boot it up, and go. That's what we do. That's the importance of theater. For 2 decades, we've had a contract in partnership with education. 10% of our proceeds, 10% of our ticket sales go back to the Enrichment Center. And this is even if we take a loss. During Sweeney Todd, we lost $8,000. We still gave them the check because that's right. That's what our agreement was. So I would like to continue this partnership. I think there's been a huge misunderstanding. I was told that because it was a school day, we would never have a school day function that would disrupt school. I was not told it was just because it was Monday. I was told that it was a school total.
It's going to go off in a minute 7.
Oh, sorry. And so that was the big communication gap. I did put in for it two months ago, January 13th, asking for the school show. And then it kept on and kept on. I kept asking. I had the teachers contacting me, what's the status? What's the status? And I would contact Jenny Wilson, and she would go back and forth. But then finally I got to the crucial point because buses have to be reserved. And so I actually contacted your office. I contacted your, Mr. Simmons, Dr. Simmons. I contacted your assistant, last week said, listen, I've got to get on with him. I've got to talk with him, whatever. She said, I will handle this. I will find the contract. I will do this, because the contract turned up missing. So Dr. Warren called me and said that it just isn't going to work out, and that from now on we're going to have to rent the PC Center just for our regular shows. And he said, in lieu of the normal rent, I will take the 10% that you normally give us. But you will have to fill out all the contracts and everything else for every time you want to use the facility. We're in that facility round the clock, at least 3 days a week, if not more. And we are a nonprofit theater. If we have to start renting the facility or anything, we're done for. So I yield my time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fowler. Next up, Colleen Fowler. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Harper.
I'm Colleen Fowler, and I live at 20 Stillwater Trace, Griffin. I come tonight to speak about Camelot Theater. My family got involved with Camelot in 2001 when my oldest daughter was 7 years old. Starting in 2002, my husband and other daughter joined. In 2005, my husband, Brad Fowler, became the board member and then later president and primary director. Camelot began partnering with the Griffin school system as early as 2002. That is 23 years ago. At that time, and I was in on it. At that time, rehearsals and productions were held at the old Third Ward building, which was the Griffin RESA. In approximately 2006, we had the opportunity to have a better situation, and we moved over to the Enrichment Center. Since then, my husband has directed over 50 productions. Most of those have been offered as school field trips during school hours. Sometimes they are at the Griffin Auditorium, and sometimes they are at the Enrichment Center. I can personally attest to the positive impact this theater has had on this community. My daughter, who started at 7, is now 30, and she started the drama program at Beaverbrook Elementary, where she taught drama for 6 years and was Teacher of the Year. You don't have to look far in this room even to know who's been affected by Camelot. Miss Register's daughter, Mr. Brown, scholar Miss Bama sitting there, as well as Bruce Ballard, facilities director in the back. We've had all 4 of his children and his now son-in-law came through our program. So in Griffin, you don't have to go far at all to meet someone who has been one of the thousands of people that have come through our program. Attending a school show meets 3 criteria for the Georgia Curriculum Standards: TARE1, TARE2, TACN1 are all standards that them attending a show would meet. We've enjoyed being at the Enrichment Center going on 20 years now. The PC benefits from our presence as well, with the use of our sound and lighting equipment and help from our team when they ask. They have a performing arts night next week in which we are allowing them to use Camelot's equipment free of charge. You may ask, well, why don't we just perform at the auditorium? We would love to perform at the auditorium every single performance, but we cannot afford to. It costs approximately $3,200 to rent the auditorium for 1 week. And as a nonprofit organization, that is just not something we can do but about once a year. Our revenues come from ticket sales and a few donations, and the money we make on one show funds the next show. School shows have a profound effect on students. The kids sit in amazement as they watch their peers perform on the stage. It gives them hope and aspires them to possibly be that person on stage, and it provides them that opportunity. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have Katie Gunnels.
Hello, my name is Katie Gunnels, and I've been a performer at Camelot Theater since 2012. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my thoughts today. I stand before you as a product of the very experience I hope to preserve. I speak not only for myself, but for countless students whose lives have been shaped by the
Ms.
magic
Gunnels, may you speak into the microphone, please?
Sorry. Of the local theater. Camelot Theater, the school shows at Camelot are more than just a tradition. They are an essential part of the educational experience, one that has inspired many of us in ways that cannot be measured by a simple grade or test score. I can remember the first time I walked into Camelot Theater with my classmates. I was just a student, unsure of what to expect, yet something about that space captivated me from the very beginning. The lights, the atmosphere, the excitement, it was a world unlike anything I had ever experienced. I still vividly remember the joy and wonder I felt watching the actors bring a story to life. It sparked something within me, something I never knew I had, a passion for theater and performance. But this experience isn't unique to me. Every student who steps into Camelot Theater for a school show is presented with an opportunity to grow, discover, and to dream. Whether it's the first time they experience a thrill of live performance or the moment they recognize that they too can stand on a stage, the impact is profound. These trips plant the seeds of creativity, teamwork, and confidence, lessons that are far beyond what any textbook can offer. They teach us that the world is full of possibilities and the arts are a powerful force in opening doors. However, this experience is at risk, and this is why I stand before you today asking you to consider the invaluable role Camelot Theater plays in our education system. If we lose the opportunity to attend school shows at Camelot, we lose not just a trip, but a vital resource for nurturing creativity in our students. We risk depriving future generations of the chance to experience the very thing that might inspire them to chase their dreams, whether it's in theater, the arts, or any other field. I urge you as decision makers to understand the deep emotional and educational value of keeping these school shows at Camelot. This theater isn't just a building, it's a home for the imagination, a space where students can discover who they are, who they can become, and how they can contribute to the world around them. It's a place that has already shaped my life and the lives of so many others. Let us not take away the chance for future students to feel the same magic I once did. Let us ensure that the doors of Camelot Theater remain open for our children, offering them the chance to see their dreams reflected in the spotlight, just as I did. Thank you.
Kim White.
Hello, my name is Kim White, and I live at 1807 Maple Drive in Griffin. I have two students who have been educated at Crescent PC and my son at the Mainstays summer program. And I like Brad's comment on the spectrum. My son, when he got diagnosed with autism, the first thing my doctor recommended was to get him in theater. So I'm hoping to have him join Camelot in the future. I would like to request the reconsideration of the decision to not allow the theater program in the schools. At minimum, maybe we could do it just for the PC students that are going to be there anyway that week. In our fully Title I district, it's hard for families to afford field trips or for families to pay for tickets for the evening or weekend shows. So what better opportunity do we have to inspire the arts than for these field trip shows? The show in April, Junie B. Jones, is a popular children's book, and it could inspire many elementary children to read the whole series. Many of our Camelot students have been introduced to theater through the school shows. You could say it inspires and recruits them. From watching these shows, they found a passion that's an alternative from sports, because not all children excel in sports. Both of my children watched the school shows in the past at Program Challenge, and it led them both to try out for Finding Nemo and to become a part of Camelot. Since Camelot is a completely volunteer community theater program and a GSCS partner in education, students can participate for only about $20 to $40. It's the cost of a script that's less than any recreational sport. They're all over $100. The only children's theater program that I know besides this is Studio D. It's over $1,000. It's unattainable. It's almost too good to be true that we have this to fill gaps for GSCS. I don't know the exact numbers. I believe we have 9 elementary schools that do not have a theater program, and I just found out today Rehoboth doesn't even have a theater program. So isn't it great that we have this program here that all of GSCS students can participate in? If we tried to put these programs at all of our schools, it would cost our district, it would not be affordable. I would think a head count for teachers, plus props, costumes. This is just a great program. So please consider allowing Camelot to again hold school time shows. Also, I want to invite everyone here, if you have children, to let them audition for the next show. The auditions will be in May. Thank you.
Kim White. Kim White? Oh, that was you. Okay, cool. That's what's up. All right, now we have our scholars, Lexi, Micah, Tyler, and Brittany. Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Come on, Brother Tyler. Come on, brother. No, you're not going to be a scholar, so you got 3 minutes, my brother.
Chairman Brown, you were on my thank you for your time list, but you may have come off of it for not letting me be a scholar. But my name is Tyler Beard. I live down the street here at 525 South 6th Street. I'm blessed to be a husband to Brittany and a father to 3 beautiful girls, in Lexi, Micah, and Naomi. Thank you, Chairman Brown and Superintendent Dr. Simmons and board members for your time. I amended my comments. I came here in feverish support for Camelot Theaters, but after your comments, Dr. Simmons, I wholeheartedly hope that this was a misunderstanding. But I will give a little bit of a background on the effects that it's had on my family, Camelot. From where I sit as a parent whose daughter has participated in Camelot productions for years now, my oldest daughter discovered her love for singing, dancing, and even reading through Camelot due in direct part from a school show while attending Beaverbrook Elementary. It was coordinated by the Fowler's daughter, Whitley. I speak to you as a taxpaying resident of Spalding County in the city of Griffin, that this has had a direct impact on my family and our friends that are also residents of this county. Any perceived benefits should be recognized by the fact of the quick, short notice that the Fowlers gave about a potential conversation here, that the support that was spun up, that it just speaks volumes. Dr. Simmons, and I also noticed in the 2023-2024 annual report for GSCS, there was a note touting the 29 fine art seals that the students received on their diplomas when graduating. A partnership with nonprofit organizations such as Camelot should always be seen as an achievement and never as an obstacle. And I wholeheartedly hope that that is the case, that this was a misunderstanding and certainly wouldn't be an ending of a partnership that, as the Fowlers said, and everybody who's been touched by this organization has seen that it is a benefit, and it should always be a benefit. Again, I'd like to thank you for your time, and I'd like to thank you for any consideration in the decision with Camelot Theaters. Thank you.
Can we get our scholars some water, please? And last but not least, Kendall Dunn. All right, come on, Brittany, and then Kendall.
My name is Brittany Beard. I also live at 525 South 6th Street. I am a homeschool mom. The 2 girls sitting over there with us are my older children who have been blessed by Camelot Theater. While we no longer utilize the public school system to educate our children, we did come tonight looking for some answers to the decision that we thought that had been made. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to clarify that miscommunication for us. I am very grateful that it does seem to just be a miscommunication. I still did want to speak up to voice support for Brad and Colleen and Camelot Theater. I wanted to be sure that that I did what could help and not just speak about it on Facebook. Because removing Camelot's ability to bring theater to kids who otherwise wouldn't get to see it is undoubtedly quenching any dreams that they might not even know that they have yet. So Camelot is well loved. It will prevail no matter what, but at what cost? We don't want that cost to be moving to a different county. Camelot is a nonprofit theater company providing artistic support, encouragement, and confidence, building life lessons with children. We can all agree that Camelot's contributions to our community are unquantifiable. I ask that we do reconsider allowing Camelot to use the building that Monday. Let that be up for discussion still and allow them to fill the seats with kids from other counties or other organizations that may not have testing. Like I said, I'm a homeschool mom. There are plenty of groups out there that don't adhere to this testing schedule who would still pay to support Camelot Theater. So I know you mentioned it was just one day that was missing, Mr. Holmes, but that one day does matter greatly to a small nonprofit like Camelot. So I know that it may seem dramatic for all of us to swarm in here and support over a miscommunication, but we're in theater. So thank you very much for your time.
Ms. Weldon, that's when you would say no cap. All right, Kendall Dunn.
My name is Kendall Dunn. I am 12 years old. I live at 1022 Waverly Drive, Griffin, Georgia. I have performed in 7 productions of Camelot Theater, starting in the summer of 2021. I am currently working on my 8th. I am here today to ask you to please allow our community theater to perform shows with school children at the PC Center during school hours. I truly believe theater helps build confidence. Without Camelot, I would have never been able to give this speech. Performing arts is a wonderful opportunity for all children. By holding shows during school hours, you allow children who might not otherwise be able to have the privilege to see a performance to learn about performing arts. I hope our productions inspire children to experience this for themselves. These school shows also mean the world to the children in the performances. For us, they are a chance to showcase our hard work and talents to our peers. Community theater also builds responsibility, work ethic, and character that will be used as well as remembered for the rest of our lives. In conclusion, I hope you will allow us to continue to give this wonderful experience to the children of our school system. Thank you.
To the scholar that spoke, I just want to say thank you so much for coming before the Board of Education to share your thoughts and ideas. It is because of you that we have a school district. It's because of you that we are up here. And as you are our boss, we just want to say that we are going to advocate for you. So thank you so much, Ms. Dunn, for coming. All right, so we're going to allow our guests to leave. Let's get 2 minutes on the clock, and then we'll be back to approve our consent agenda items.
Oh, he's with Miss Ray. Edit. It is now time for the approval of our consent agenda items. What is the pleasure of this body as it relates to the consent agenda items?
Motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
All right, it's been properly moved. Is there a second? Properly second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 5-0. Approved. All right, action items. Central Office A building, give me my gavel back. Central Office A building interior doors. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Chairman Brown, Board, and Dr. Simmons. Appreciate the opportunity to come up here tonight and talk to you about some more of our projects we have going on around the Central Office campus. So the first item we have tonight is some replacement of a number of the doors in this building. You probably have noticed as you've walked up and down the hallways that the doors along the hallway have large grills in them, and it's because of back when it was a school and there were classrooms in there, we had to have circulation throughout the building. Now that they're offices, that is no longer needed, and many of those louvers are in bad condition, and things are not looking as good as we would like. So with that, we took bids, and we ended up having 3 companies to provide us with quotes to replace the doors. The lowest price was from Terminus Specialties, and so it is recommended this evening that the Griffin-Spalding Board of Education approve the apparent low bid of $60,796 as submitted by Terminus Specialties.
All right, thank you so much. We've heard the report from Mr. Bruce Bob the Builder. Is there any discussion as it relates to this item? All right, what's the pleasure of this body?
Move to approve.
Is there a second? All in favor, please vote by raising your right hand. 5-0, approved. Central Office Interior Lighting.
Okay, another item we've been trying to make improvements on here on the Central Office campus, as well as at our schools when we do the renovation, is to change out from the older style fluorescent lights to the LED lights, like what we have in this room here. Much brighter, better lighting in general. And so with that, we've gone through the A building and the B building. We still have some in this building, A building, and then all of B building to relight. And so we'd like to get that done this summer. Again, we did so happen to have 3 bidders for this. And with that, we recommend that the Griffin-Spalding Board of Education approve a not to exceed base bid of $88,853 for the lighting needs at the A and B buildings as submitted by Georgia Electrical Associates.
Will it include this room?
Hold on. Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Ballard. Is there any discussion or any questions?
Sorry, Mr. Brown.
You are welcome.
Please tell me it will include this room.
This room has already been done.
Oh, okay. These lights.
Is
kill
it too
me.
bright?
No, yeah, I feel like I need a golf visor on in here.
Well, we can probably work on that.
All right, anybody else, any discussion?
Sorry, Mr. Brown.
Oh, no problem at all. Is there, what is the pleasure of this body as it relates to this item?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please vote by raising your right hand. 5-0, motion approved.
Thank you.
Chromebook warranty purchase.
Yeah.
Good evening to the school board, Dr. Simmons, Chairman Brown. You coming up? Okay. All right. The technology department is seeking the Griffin-Spalding Board of Education approval to purchase 2,821 Chromebook warranties from Lexicon for an amount not to exceed $98,735 to be paid for from SPLOS 7. And so our warranty purchase is in order to continue using devices that are still in life, they're still in good shape. And normally we would be disposing of them because of their short lifespan, but Google pushed their lifespan from 3 years to 10 years. And since they're still good in working orders, we're not purchasing new Chromebooks this year because with the additional warranty, we will have enough to continue the district with one-to-one in all our buildings, plus a few hundred in surplus.
All right, is there any discussion? There are scholars, do you have any questions? Ms. Farrell, can you give us a comment that you just told us over here?
As a student, you won't believe how many students I've seen drop them, and we've had the same ones for such a long time. I think these are the perfect ones.
Awesome.
And this is perfect.
Thanks. That's good to hear. They are very rugged.
All right, so that has been our discussion. What is the pleasure of this body as it relates to the warranty purchase? Is there a second?
Second.
Probably moved to second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your right hand. 5-0, approved. All right, next up, Epic purchase and installation for GRCCA.
Yes, sir. Continuing on, we wish to approve the purchase for audio enhancement, Epic system and for camera upgrades for $237,863 $1,000,000.68 to be paid for by SPLOST 7. This is one of our SPLOST projects. This is our last school in the district to receive the upgrade to the new cameras, the info views in the hallways that are used for digital signage. It also, with the upgrade, allows us to integrate Syntegics, so the badges that we're using for Syntegics will pipe into the same system. And it gives all the teachers in the classrooms new microphones. So with the addition of GRCCA, the district will be complete. So it is recommended that the Griffin-Spalding Board of Education approve funding for the purchase of Audio Enhancements EPIC system and the upgrades for the $237,863 and change to be paid for through SPLOST.
All right, thank you so much. We've heard this presentation. Can you give us a little bit more information on the info view, Mr. Harper?
Yes, sir. So if you've been in some of the buildings, they're still in process of commissioning, but they're smaller. They look like televisions. They're hanging in the hallways. They're double-sided. And so a lot of them can operate as clocks. We can push out messaging. So if there's an alert through Syntegics that something's going on, those signs will also convert over to display a lockdown message. It also, from the central office end, if we have messaging that we need to push out to a cluster of schools or to all schools, we can push that out through the clear touch panel in the classroom and through the info view in the hallway. And so it'll take over those screens. And so that gives us more of a communication capability in the district.
Wow.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Scholars, do you have anything to say as it relates to this item?
Are you referring to the clocks in the hallway that have the red writing?
No, the red writings are the little smaller ones. Those are part of what's installed currently for your intercom system. They're part of that. These you will see they look like a television, about like a 27-inch TV, and there's one on both sides. So there's two installed back to back, and it'll have digital signage. It'll have a clock. It'll also have other messaging on there. But the red ones are just the standard parts of the intercoms.
Okay, I think they will be a lot better because the clocks I have, every school I've gone to, they're like a couple minutes off.
Yeah. So, we've seen that too.
Ms. Bama, anything?
I just want to say that those are, like I look at those a lot because they seem to be very much like more, the time is more correct on it than on the red ones. But I did get excited. I thought we were going to have like TVs in the school. I don't know why, but yeah, they're very helping with us getting the class on time and things like that.
Thank you. All right, what is the pleasure of this body as it relates to this item?
Make a motion to approve.
All right. All in favor, please vote by raising your right hand. 5-0. Policy JCDB, student dress code, second reading. Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, Board Chair Brown, Dr. Simmons, and board members. I'm presenting Board Policy JCDB, Student Dress Code, for second reading. Board Policy JCDB was revised to remove the language of the mask fitting for students. We are recommending that Board Policy JCDB be adopted tonight.
All righty, thank you so much. Scholars, you have any input on this? All right, you can ask him a question if you need to.
So, according to the dress code, what would you be able to wear as a mask, and what would you cannot wear as a mask? Would like quarantine mask count?
No mask.
No mask at all?
No, no mask at all.
Oh, okay. Okay, I can get the whole faith thing because, like, if you get in trouble and you need to catch somebody, somebody needs to show their face.
That's right.
But I don't get it for a part where you can't like have a quarantine mask because if something happens, then that'll probably be a good idea to not try to get any other student messed up.
Yeah, we're not requiring students to wear a mask. That's what this policy is. That's what we removed.
Okay.
All right, thank you for the clarification. All right, board members, what is the pleasure of the body? All right, is there a second?
A second.
Been properly moved in second. All in favor, please vote by raising your right hand. All right, passed.
Thank you.
Next up, Central Office Audit Resolution. We'll ask that Mr. Pugh will read the resolution, and then we'll have Ms. Weldon of the Fourth to speak to the resolution.
All right. Resolution of the Griffin-Spalding County Board of Education requesting an audit of the superintendent, cabinet members, and central office employees to ensure alignment of resources with the district's strategic goals and improve financial management practices and for other purposes. Whereas the Board of Education of Griffin-Spalding County Schools Board is committed to ensuring that all resources are utilized effectively and efficiently to support student achievement, family and community engagement, high-performing staff, and organizational and operational efficiency. And whereas the board recognizes the importance of conducting a comprehensive audit of the superintendent, cabinet members, and central office employees to assess the alignment of resource allocation with the district's strategic goals. And whereas the audit will serve to evaluate and improve financial management practices to ensure fiscal responsibility and transparency in the administration of Griffin-Spalding County Schools. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board hereby authorizes and directs the implementation of a formal audit process for the superintendent, cabinet members, and central office employees to assess resource alignment, strengthen financial management practices, and ensure continued commitment to the strategic goals of GSCS. Be it further resolved that the superintendent shall identify and submit at least 3 auditing firms to the board from which to select for interviewing. Be it further resolved that the board will conduct interviews to ensure the scope of work proposed by said firms aligns with the goals and objectives of this audit process. Be it further resolved that the board will select a firm that demonstrates effective and efficient auditing practices. And be it finally resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately upon adoption today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pugh. Chair recognizes Ms. Weldon of the Fourth.
Can you hear me? Is it working? Okay. All right. When I campaigned last year this time for the seat for District 4, I mostly heard from the stakeholders that central office was too heavy. And they asked if I was elected, what did I propose to do about it? And so when I got elected, I proposed to have this external audit so that we can show the stakeholders, you know, what they asked for. They elected me, and so that's my responsibility. And I feel like the purpose is to provide the stakeholders with an audit that shows commitment to accountability, ethical practices, effective and efficient use of high-performing staff, family and community engagement, organizational and operational efficiency that supports overall alignment to student achievement outcomes. The goal of this audit is to provide a complete and comprehensive audit of the superintendent, the cabinet, and the central office employees. And the purpose is to build trust and confidence with those stakeholders. The goal is to provide transparency and accountability to stakeholders, parents, students, faculty, and governing bodies in the school system. I want to reaffirm my commitment to sound financial oversight, resource alignment, and improvement in all areas that will benefit our students, families, and staff. I hope that by conducting this audit, our system can stay up to date with the best practices and make positive changes that will improve the learning experience of our students. Ultimately, I hope it builds trust within our community and heads our system in the right direction. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, I move for the adoption of this resolution, and I welcome any discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We've heard from Ms. Weldon of the Fourth. Is there any discussion as it relates to her resolution that has been read for us by Mr. Pugh?
I would like to ask, because I think we got several things that we do that justifies the the staff at central office. And just to give a little back history, because I'm not sure about Miss McDonald and Mr. Brown, but the staff at the central office came from a curriculum audit. And these positions were put in place by the previous superintendent. They may have changed names, but I just wonder what's the end goal? Are we just doing an audit to look at salaries, or are we doing an audit to look at job responsibility? Because as I said at our previous workshop, the presentation that was given, I think it needs to be put out for the public, because most do not know what we are mandated to do. And when we did each director and who was up under them and what their responsibility were, I think if we put that out and show people who's doing what, and that is something that was that came about because of a curriculum audit, we really, I think that positions are justified by what we are mandated to do. The average person don't know that we don't just do stuff off the cuff. Everything that we mainly do is it comes down. The old saying, it flows downhill. But we got people making mandates and don't send funding with it, which puts us in a precarious position. But my long story short, what is the actual purpose of a audit for the central office staff? Are we looking to audit whether or not salaries or job responsibility? That's my question. What is the end result for doing a central office audit?
She just said that.
Hold on one second. So the question has been posed by Mr. Holmes. And so I'll let the author of the resolution speak to it, and then we can further discussion from there.
Being that the curriculum audit was done in 2016, it's almost been 10 years. And yes, I have read the 2016 audit, and it did, call for adding additional personnel. But because the stakeholders do not realize, that has happened, and things have changed, we've added more people since then.
Correct.
And I hear things like, why do we have 6 superintendents? And I say, we don't have 6 superintendents. So I think that as taxpayers, and they asked me to check into that it was my responsibility to do so. And so, I feel like we owe that to the stakeholders in District 4.
I agree.
But my question is, what's the purpose of the audit? Are we looking at salaries? Are we looking at positions? Let's make, if we do an audit, we don't need to just be doing an audit just to be doing an audit. Are we looking at dollars? Are we looking at warm bodies? That's my question.
I think we're looking at a redundancy of positions, that some positions overlap, that some positions are not needed, that salaries are inflated. So as we have the audit, then that can, show evidence of whether that's happening or not.
I agree.
All right. Ms. McDonald?
Well, I'm sitting here thinking, I would remind Mr. Holmes that it's taken me, I've been on this board now 6 years, and it's taken me 6 years to get the special education audit to the floor, to the board, to vote, and it's ongoing as we speak. And I believe that we have everything to gain and nothing to lose by doing an audit. And I think Ms. Weldon has been perfectly clear with regard to what her stakeholders in her district have asked of her, and I fully support her resolution, and the motion is on the floor. So I'm going to go ahead and second the motion.
Well, I just want to make it plain and clear. I have no problem with all that's being done. I mean, they are done for a purpose, but I'm just asking, are we looking to do an audit to see what money we spending, what staff are making, or are we looking at positions? Let's put it on the table. What are we looking for?
I think she's already answered that.
No.
All right, so we have a resolution. It's been motioned, it's been second. Mr. Holmes, are you still up for discussion?
I'm done.
Okay, so we're ready to call for the vote now. It's been properly moved by the author, it's been seconded by Ms. McDonald. All those in favor, please vote by raising your right hand. All right, all those opposed? All right, so it is a 4-1 vote. The audit will be done. Next up, cell phone resolution, Mr. Pugh.
All right. A resolution of the Griffin-Spalding County Board of Education directing the superintendent to develop a policy based on stakeholder engagement and collected data from cell phone town hall meeting and for other purposes. Whereas the Griffin-Spalding County Board of Education is committed to fostering an inclusive and responsive educational environment that reflects the needs and perspectives of all stakeholders, and whereas the board has actively engaged scholars, parents, and employees of the Griffin-Spalding County School System, GSCS, in meaningful discussions through town hall meetings and thought exchange to collect valuable data and diverse perspectives regarding use of all cell phones in schools, and whereas the data collected from all of these engagement efforts represents a wide range of opinions and insights, ensuring that the development of the policy is both informed and reflective of the needs of our community, and whereas the board recognizes the importance of creating the best possible policy to support the success and well-being of all GSCS students and staff, now therefore be it resolved that the Griffin-Spalding County Board of Education hereby directs the superintendent to initiate the process of developing, updating, and/or amending the current policy as it relates to cell phone use, ensuring that it aligns with the data collected at town hall meetings, thought exchange, and the input received from scholars, parents, and employees. And be it further resolved that the superintendent shall keep the board informed of progress and provide opportunities for continued stakeholder engagement throughout the policy development process. Resolved today.
All right. We had this resolution a couple meetings ago. Now it's time to vote to pass it. Work has already began. I think yesterday you were over at Griffin High School, right? With that information for the cell phone policy and the pilot program. So at this time, we'll ask, is there what's the pleasure of this body for this resolution?
Vote to approve.
Thank you so much. Is there a second? It's been moved and second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your right hand. 5-0, approved. All right, next up is personnel/cabinet members and executive officers. I would like to make a motion to group these all together under this item, so A, B, C, D, and E. And I make a motion to approve these, the personnel, cabinet members, and executive officers. Is there a second? All right, it's moved by Brown of the first, seconded by Weldon of the fourth. All those in favor, please vote by raising your right hand. All right, 5-0, congratulations. Next up, we need to take off the agenda recommendation of Rehoboth Road Middle School for Mr. Rusty Hudson. We're gonna remove that item. Is there a motion on the floor to remove that item? Just playing with you. Go ahead, Dr. Simmons.
I had some questions.
So coach was my teacher at high school. He just turned so red.
That's not even fair. Mr. Hudson, do you need some water?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Oh, that was bad.
Mr. Chair, it is my distinct pleasure. We may not be able to do a lot of things, but we get to be a part of this process. And so I proudly recommend that for the 25, 26, and subsequent school years that we appoint Mr. Rusty Hudson as principal of Rehoboth Road Middle School.
Thank you so much. Is there any discussion? I'll start. So Coach Hudson was my teacher at Griffin High School, and so I thought it would be fun just to kind of play around with you. But congratulations to you. I'm sure that this motion will pass tonight. I would like to make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Leader Holmes. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 5-0. Mr. Hudson, would you like to? Do you have anything to say, Principal Hudson? You say what? No problem at all. Congratulations to you. Next up, we have recommendation for Ann Street Elementary School. He's recommending Ms. Kiera Rojas, who is with us tonight. Dr. Simmons.
Yes, sir. Thank you again, Mr. Chair. I was contacted last week, shortly after I had the opportunity and the pleasure to speak with both Rusty Hudson and Ms. Kiera Rojas about the vacant Rehoboth Road Middle School position. And in the midst of my toiling and contemplation, Dr. Seabrook Royal shared with me his intent to retire at the end of the school year, which created a significant need at Ann Street Elementary School. In some ways, I think God was smiling by enabling us to resolve 2 vacancies at the end of one phone conversation. And so, as equally anticipated and proud, I recommend that Ms. Kiera Rojas assume the role of principal of Ann Street Elementary School, school year 25, 26, and subsequent.
All right, we've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion on the floor for Ms.
I'd like to take that privilege since this is a District 3 school.
Hold on 1 second. Is there a motion on the floor?
Let me jump on in there.
Kiera,
I'd like to motion that Ms.
Rojas
will take the lead at Ann Street Elementary in District 3.
So Leader Holmes has proudly made that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been seconded by the Vice Chair, Ms. McDonald. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Congratulations. So approved. Have anything you want to say? Yes. With the cape on.
I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you. I am very grateful. I'm humbled, but I want you to know I'm also very hungry, so I'm ready to get to work. One last thing, my mom saw the board, and she asked if my name could be spelled correctly. Yeah, so I want that because I'm recording it, so she knows I said something about it. But I am so thankful. I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. And to Ms. Rojas' mom, we will get that name spelled right and send you an updated agenda. All right, congratulations to Principal Hudson and Principal Rojas. Wishing you an amazing 2025-2026 school year. Next up is presentations and discussion. I-Ready presentation.
Good evening again, Chairman Brown, Superintendent Simmons, and Board. I would like to introduce to some and reintroduce to others Ms. Ashley Evatt, one of our I-Ready partners. Tonight, she will provide you with an update on our middle of the year diagnostics performance. She will also provide you with an overview of our progress with program implementation.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Superintendent. Thank you for having me back. It's good to see your faces again in many familiar faces. It's been such a great year. I know I was just here, right? But it was September because the school year moves very quickly, as we all know. But because of the time, I'm going to go as speedily as possible, but as efficiently as possible because it's school, right? And this is what we do. So we are going to talk about mid-year, which already feels like a hot minute ago. So we're going to move, but feel free to ask questions. This is the time. So you met some of my partners previously, but you are also our partners. So we are one big team. You hit one of us up, you get all of us at one time. Last time I was with you, we kind of shared our promising practices. This is at the top of our conversation every time we're in front of a school or in front of an educator. We are talking about Tier 1 instruction, we're talking about growth, we're talking about fidelity, and of course we're talking about all of our stakeholders and our families. One of the things I want you to really look at is that stretch growth, because we're going to come back to that very quickly here. So unlike in September, now we're comparing two sets of data, right? Because we're comparing the fall data to the winter data. So the graphs are going to look slightly different than when I saw you last. You can kind of see the flux in student population, so that when you're looking at data, sometimes it's nice to know the big picture because the students change, right? We have a transient population in some of our schools, so it's kind of nice to look at that as well. Just for a quick refresher, when we're talking about those color bands, right, when we're looking at students and the yellow, the light green, and the dark green, those are students at a Tier 1 level. They're reading and they're understanding their math content, where teachers can teach them and strive to above grade level. Students that are going at a light red and a dark red, or the striped red, if you will, are students that have some skill gaps and deficiencies on off-grade level and are working in an intervention or an MTSS place, but they're still receiving, obviously, Tier 1 instruction as well. So they're getting both ends of the spectrum every single day. So because one of our promising practices is looking at growth, we have typical growth every year, and we also have stretch growth every year. Stretch growth is getting our students caught up so that we can get to grade level as fast as possible. So instead of looking at just an overall grade level band, we wanted you to look at a specific grade level within a specific building really quickly and see what is happening. The great opportunity about sharing this is we can share collaboratively across the district and say, what is happening here in this specific grade, right? Because when we look at 8th grade data across the district, it might look different than just at Cowan Road or just at Kennedy Road. So now they can share collaboratively across their leadership teams and say, what's that 8th grade team doing? And really share it. We want it to be from us, but we need it to be from each other as well. And that's what this space is for, obviously for collaboration, but also for accomplishments, because the goal is if these students can catch up on stretch growth, they're catching up to grade level within one school year, which is amazing. So as we're looking at mid-year growth, I'm just going to kind of go to the next page. This is a new screen we have not looked at before, so let me explain this to you really quickly. So what this page is talking about is the darker the blue, the more trending on growth, that category. So I'm going to explain it a little differently. So what we're looking at on the left are students that started at a green all the way down to a red by grade level and how well they grew. Now, by the middle of the year, we would expect students to have grown halfway through their goal, right? Because by the end of the year, we're hoping for 100%. What I really want you to look at the far right-hand column. Do you see where it says all students? Where it says 50, 57, 50, 59, 65, 81. That means in every single category of students who started at the beginning of the year above grade level, all the way down to students that were significantly with some skill deficits, have all already met or exceeded half of their goal or more in December. This is across the board, which means not only is Tier 1 instruction and whole group working, intervention is also doing double duty across the district. This is amazing. I told you all in September that it looks bleak, but it takes time, right? This is a year and a half of good work, and I told you it's going to take 2 good years. We're already there. We're already making this happen. This is reading specifically, just so you're kind of in a little context. And then this is math. So once again, Just get the big picture, find yourself in a grade, especially when you think about our MTSS programs, when you look at those bottom 2 rows, right? Those are all, for the most part, we'll say 95%, are all in dark blue, which means we are moving and grooving our students that need the most support, but we are also, sometimes we hear, it's hard to move the students that are above grade level. No, you just have to support them correctly. And look at our students at the top also in dark blue. This is fantastic. We are doing the right things in every place, because look at the far right-hand side again. We are so close to 50 or exceeding 50 also in mathematics across the district. This is hard work for every single building, so congratulations. So I'm going to show you this real quick because then we're going to go by grade level. This is comparative from the fall, the left column, to the right column. Those of you that were with me in September, this was the screen you couldn't see, if you remember that fun experience. So what I want you to see is the green got bigger and the red got smaller, which means more of our students are getting to grade level and less of our students are below grade level. That's the big picture, right? And this is K-8, remember? So let's look a little bit deeper. This is mathematics. This is elementary, K-5. What I want you to notice is every single grade level went up in green and down in red. It's not an overall average, it is in every single grade level. Even in middle school, and as a prior recovering middle school teacher, I will say this is tough, right? To move the top and the bottom, K-8 as a district. This is amazing. Every single grade level. As we process this, yes, thank you. Yeah, this is not my work, this is your work. Reading speaks a different story, but like we spoke about, and I remember Ms. McDonald and I speaking about this in September, reading speaks of different value, right? By the time they hit that 3rd grade, they're either readers or we're getting them to become readers. And it's a tough uphill climb so that they come in and they're either reading, that's why that dark green is a lot stronger from the left, and it's gonna change, but it's gonna be a drastically different change, but the story is still the same. We are going up in green and we're going down in red. So the story is still the same, it just feels a little different. So when we're speaking grade level, what do we see? Look at kindergarten. This is preparing the entire district, that this was in December, right? That over 50% of our kindergartners are already reading at grade level in December. Can you imagine what that does for your school system for the rest of the year and moving forward? This changes lives, is them reading by the time they're done with kindergarten and 1st grade. We are changing lives by having them become readers early. Green is going up, red is going down, as simple as that. Same with middle school. Once again, bigger gaps to fill by the time they become readers or non-readers, but no one's a non-reader. We just gotta fill different gaps, and we'll get them there. It's just gonna take a couple extra years. And the fact that it's moving tells us we're doing the right things. What I do want to show you on the next page is what I told you in September. This is not a one-year game, this is a multiple-year game. So this is comparing yourself from last winter to this winter. And this is the benefit of being long-term partners. We can compare yourselves to yourselves, right? We can have these conversations about how's the implementation changing, what's happening in each building, and we can support the changes, leadership changes in buildings, teacher changes. But what are we still seeing? Green going up and red going down, which means year over year, we're gonna expect the same thing to happen as changes are happening across the district, and both reading and in math. So there are a couple grades that are starting to get a little closer to plateauing from last year, and those are getting to our milestone grade levels, but we know that because we know what our milestone scores look like as well. But we're in second semester, now is the time, right? And our teachers and our leaders have used this data to best prepare for second semester, so the job's not done yet. Not even close to it. So when I heard like Ann Street celebrations for all their lessons, like we heard earlier on, that's what gets the job done, right? So the job does not stop at that test. The job happens every day based on that data. So as we continue on, this is where I want you to see. I always like you to see where you're at in the big picture, right? We are catching up to where we are in the state. So look at, this is kindergarten, first and second, because we're doing a couple extra categories here. So when you compare yourselves to kindergarten, once again, look at ourselves in the winter in kindergarten. We are ahead of the state when it comes to the light green and dark green combined together. We have more on grade level readers than the state average. We are neck and neck, or ahead of the game in first grade. We are setting up our school system for success with these early readers. Oh, hey. This is how we get the job done, and that means putting the right staff and the right teachers in the right classrooms to make sure this doesn't stop. It's not just a program, it's the teachers in the classrooms too. They have to go together. They have to go hand in hand. Because then these numbers will start to change as well. This is a year-over-year process. They're starting to move, but it's going to take time. And we know that, like anything else. As we continue to move, we know we have these deficits in middle school, but even compared to the state, you can see that those deficits are statewide, right? Those reds, those dark reds are still significant even across the state of Georgia, even across the nation. But that's why we have new House bills, and this is why we have new reading policies to really support the underbelly of elementary reading so that these can start to change for our younger readers so that they can become stronger readers moving into middle school moving forward. It just takes time. Okay? Same information for math. We are killing it in kindergarten and first grade above the state. I can't even imagine what those first grade teachers are going to feel like in August next year, right? They're going to take those kids in and be like, what? Well, who are these friends? They're going to be excited. We are neck and neck, which tells us a lot for milestone placement in our grade level tested classrooms. We have not been in a place like this in Griffin in a couple years where we are really neck and neck with what everyone else is doing in milestone grade levels. And we are not far. Remember, the yellow is the potential to still grow to grade level. They are understanding classroom material. They are just trying to cover the last hurdle. They are not below grade level. They are just trying to cover the last hurdle. And we got a whole semester left, right, from when this test was. Keep in mind, this was still the winter. We are clearly in the spring. So as we move and groove through middle school, those numbers have shrunk. The yellow has shrunk a little bit. They feel a little bit more attainable. So the mission of your team and my team has been, who are those yellow students, K-8? Who are those green students, K-8? And what can we work with them on? What can we do with them so that they are confident moving into milestone or confident moving into their next grade level so that they are the most prepared? But it can't just be 26%. It has to be, who are those 26% students and what are we doing to help them become the next color and the next placement and the next grade level? And if we don't put a face to that number, it doesn't matter anyways, right? Data doesn't talk until it matches a student's name. So as we talk about those next steps, again, not only is the process, are we using that personalized instruction, which is the program, and we have done phenomenal this year as a district. We've done a little bit better at making sure that K-12, we're really getting into celebrating who's using it at the right space, because even some of our 9th and 10th graders who are in the MTSS program are still using it to shore up some of those, the needs that they have. We sent home the mid-year family report so that families can see the growth that some of their students made. And moving forward to continue our partnership is to align with what we were talking about with everything rolling downhill. We want to make sure that when we're following some of our education policies and the House bills about dyslexia, we're going to move forward into training to use iReady to support those policies moving forward so that all data lives into one platform. because the less platforms that our teachers have to deal with helps them be able to communicate and do next steps and provide the most growth out of your students. That was fast, so thank you for keeping up with me. Do you have any questions? I'll do my best. Also, everyone's hungry, so that's good too. Not, thank you for having me again, and I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Are there any questions as it relates to the iReady presentation, board members? Ms. Register, you're recognized for question.
Hey, good evening. The middle school numbers, I'm thinking, I have a child who's in middle school right now, and I'm thinking back, the COVID years would have been second, third grade. So I'm wondering if that's all correlating now to those middle school 6, 7, 8.
Absolutely. You are not wrong in that thought. It's those foundational skills, right? Which is why we're still trying to catch up, which is why those MTSS numbers are still catching up, because those students still have those deficits. But what we've noticed nationwide is that some of those, we're going to call them almost outdated COVID practices, we're hindering some processes in primary, and we're holding back instruction in primary, but they weren't here, which is fantastic. Right, they were like, oh, we still have gaps. We don't. So the fact that we're not holding back our primary students in Griffin, that was the trend we were seeing nationwide. But you're absolutely right. But those students are still our students, even though they're in 7th and 8th grade, for another 5 years, and they're community members forever. So we still want to fill their gaps wherever they are, but that is the discrepancy even nationwide, why we're seeing what we're seeing. You're absolutely right.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yes, ma'am. Next up, Spalding Collaborative, Ms. Regina Abbott. Welcome, Ms. Abbott.
Thank you, Chairman Brown, and good evening, Superintendent Simmons and board members. I am here, I believe, to update you or inform you about the relationship between the Board of Education, Griffin-Spalding County School Systems, and the Spalding County Collaborative Authority for Families and Children, correct? For the sake of those of you who are relatively new to the board, and for those of you who were not around 20 plus years ago when we entered into relationship with the school system, I'm going to just give you a brief background on who we are and how we got to be a partner with the school system. In 1990, then Governor Zell Miller established what he called Family Connections, and that was in the 1993. Georgia Family Connection Partnership is a public-private nonprofit organization created and funded by the Georgia General Assembly through the Department of Human Services and the private sector. It is not a government agency. Georgia Family Connection Partnership assists local family connection collaboratives that exist in all 159 counties in Georgia. The county collaboratives are made up of families, nonprofits, faith and civic-based organizations, public-private organizations, human service providers, community business leaders, state and local elected officials to make local decisions concerning our families. The local collaboratives are given the responsibility of identifying needs existing in their community and developing a 3-year strategic plan to improve the quality of life for families and children in their respective community. The Family Connection Collaborative for Spalding County is Spalding County Collaborative Authority for Families and Children. We refer to ourselves as Spalding Collaborative. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization with a board of directors and executive committee. In addition, Spalding Collaborative is a quasi-governmental entity created by the Georgia General Assembly in 1998. The governance structure was created through enabling legislation. In that same year, through a joint city-county resolution, Spalding Collaborative was tasked with the responsibility of decision-making process to determine needs regarding families and children in Spalding. Each county collaborative has a designated fiscal agent, and this is where you guys come in, which is a government agency. The initial fiscal agent for Spalding Collaborative was the Department of Family and Children Services, Spalding County. That relationship continued for several years. Then DFACS transitioned from local accounting and financial operations to a streamlined regional approach before 2000, with the Griffin-Spalding County School System being a highly involved stakeholder. The Board of Education was approached and subsequently agreed to serve as the fiscal agent for the Spalding Collaborative. Basically, that means that the contracting entities are the Department of Human Services and the Griffin-Spalding School System, with performance of the scope of work being performed by Spalding Collaborative. The fiscal agent commits to a 12-month period and understands that quarterly payments are reimbursed based on quarterly progress and expenditure reports, which are completed by the collaborative and submitted on behalf of the school system. This fiscal agent must maintain appropriate accounting and financial systems and agree the local Family Connection Collaborative governing body is the body responsible for all decisions associated with budgeting of these funds in compliance with the fiscal agent's policies and procedures. So the process begins in our fiscal year is the state fiscal year, which is the same as yours, July 1 to June 30th. Our process begins in February for the next fiscal year, beginning July 1, with documents being sent out to designate the fiscal agent for the upcoming year, and that's done annually. And those are submitted by usually the 15th or thereabouts of February. And then in June, the contract rolls out from the Department of Human Services to the fiscal agent to be approved and signed. So I would be glad to entertain any questions that you have.
Are there any questions as it relates to this item? I do have a couple questions. Who's the school system representative on the Spalding Collaborative?
Will Doss is representing Dr. Simmons.
Who?
And we also have Melissa Dingler on our board, the school system nurse.
Right. So I think we need to have a conversation with Dr. Simmons as it relates to his representative on the Spalding Collaborative, and we can do that another time. All right, thank you so much, Ms. Abbott.
Quite welcome.
All right, next up is GSCS fleet discussion. Right, so is there anybody that's going to present it? Okay. All right, so in our packets, well, in our, at the board retreat, we discussed GSCS information on the fleet in regards to who's taking cars, homes, and all that. And so it was brought up by one of the board members, and so we are doing our due diligence to just have that discussion so that in transparency they can report back to their constituents who have asked them regarding this conversation. When we first had the conversation, we were not aware that there were so many folks who were taking cars home from the school system fleet. And so we received a list of the number of folks who are taking cars home. We believe that in order for us to be able to save monies and do things of that sort, it may be best that certain employees leave their cars, leave the school system cars at the district, and they just drive to and from work. And so I was of the belief, and I think many of us may feel this way, we do know that there are folks like Mr. Ballard. I understand that Chief Britt, Mr. Sutton, and other folks in the maintenance department that may be on call, whether they have 2 on call during the month or however they want to do it. That is okay for those folks. If we're looking at the budget and looking at these things, it's okay for those folks to drive, but other folks who are driving, maybe, let's say, outside, that they need to, maybe the superintendent needs to rethink and put something in place to, that allow those persons to maybe check out their cars once they get to the district and use their cars while they're in the district, but not to be able to ride home and do that type of thing. And so we can have a discussion here at this time to see how we want to move forward and direct the superintendent. And so I'll open up the floor at this time for that discussion. Ms. Register brought it up at the retreat, so I'll pass it to her.
Thank you. I was looking for the spreadsheet. Much like, we discussed, oh, here it is right here, magically. Thank you for this. Much like what Ms. Weldon mentioned earlier when she was running for election, people were asking her for specific items. I have heard from several who were under the impression that we had a wealth of school system employees driving fleet vehicles home, whether that be in Spalding County or outside of Spalding County. So I did ask the question to see, who was driving fleet vehicles home at the retreat, and Dr. Simmons did provide the list. And so, my question, I guess, would be, what would be the purpose of, I understand the yellow fleet, because that's the school buses. The white fleet are the ones that I would have questions about. Of course, I understand the director of, the police chief, of course, and Mr. Ballard, but I would have questions about the other ones and would just like to understand better why we have the amount of people that we have currently driving the fleet vehicles home.
Chair, before Dr. Simmons, could I make a point of correction? Mr. Britt doesn't drive his vehicle home. He bring his personal vehicle, and he go use the school system vehicle, but he don't take his vehicle home.
Yeah, but then we were saying that if he, in the event that he had a take-home vehicle, if he decided to do that, that would be okay because of the position that he has.
He has a take-home vehicle.
Yeah, but he does.
But
he
doesn't
drives
take it home.
Yeah, but I'm saying if in the event that he was to take his vehicle home, we understand why he would have to do that because of his role in the district. But
Right.
what point well taken.
I just wanted to make everybody aware he doesn't take a vehicle home.
Yes, sir.
So I think, grab me a mic from back in the back, please. So, Mr. Chair, members of the board, again, while I'm not trying to defer this structure, I will offer that this has been the structure. I will offer what comes to mind for me immediately is efficiency. And when I think about the 6 days that we were not able to have school, what people in the system didn't realize, that there were trucks on the road by our employees making sure that we could or could not do those things. the way it would be situated should you want to change the structure. We would have had to have those people get into their personal vehicle, come to the school district, get into another school vehicle, go back out into the community, only to determine or discern whether or not the roads were capable of being driven. I think that's one piece of it. The other side of it is really, if you're wanting to save, that is the more efficient way of doing it, because we have a per diem, and some of these vehicles would cost us a lot of funds that we would have to reimburse some of these employees because of the mileage that they would accrue. Again, I understand everyone's effort relative to trying to save, but there is a cost to saving, and I want you to be reminded and informed in that regard. I did not realize the sheer number, but having looked at who takes a vehicle home, I understand the brevity of why that would be an effective and efficient operation. Not saying that we have to do it, but do know, should those individuals stop doing it, you will see an increase in reimbursements, and that has to be paid back to those individuals. And those reimbursements currently aren't budgeted. So I don't know that number in the moment, but I could tell you it would be in the thousands of dollars on a monthly basis, simply because of the work that those vehicles are doing. But when you consider the cost of fleet fuel, it is not the same that you would pay when you go to Circle K or wherever you would go, mileage per gallon. So throw that in the back of it. But at the onset, the primary thing for me would be not asking an employee to leave West Griffin, come to Central Griffin, swap vehicles, go back into West Griffin, only to tell me that the roads are flooded.
Okay, but I'm thinking, like, if when we have implementing things of that sort, we know that it's getting ready to happen. We are prepared for those things. And so in the event that at that point in time, because if they're leaving their home to come to work, they're not being reimbursed to come to work, to drive to work. So why not allow them to park their vehicles here at work, and then while throughout the course of the day, they are in the vehicle that provided by the district, and then once they clock out, then they go home, or whatever the shift is, they go home. But in the event that we have these snowstorms and weather storms, then we can say, all right, guys, because of this, we can now check in the cars or do whatever we need to do so that staff is able to get around and be the superheroes that they are when these disasters and things happen.
Certainly. So again, whatever pleases the board is what we'll do. But let me try to put it back into you, put it back in front of you. So I'll take the fleet manager. When the buses roll in the morning, if the fleet manager has to leave his home, come here to get into a vehicle to go to where that broken down bus is, one, I've got children and a driver sitting, while half the time we could have already been there. Two, I've got to now reimburse that person to do some of those things. Again, if it's the board's pleasure, so be it. I just want you to understand, when you say things like save, there is a cost to do that, and we will need to consider the cost to create the saving, and part of the cost will be efficiency in operation. And if you believe that the operation isn't efficient now, it will actually decrease in its efficiency. Not saying that I don't want you to change the structure. I'll reiterate, if it pleases the board, we will do what you ask, but there will be a cost to try and create that saving.
Okay. And so so the fleet manager, right? So if the fleet manager is one of those who needs to take home the vehicle, then we do that. But for example, for example, with Mr. Martin, the Director of Transportation, the fleet manager, if something happened, isn't he the one that's telling the fleet manager to do it, or the fleet manager gets the call to be able to, how does that normally work in that structure of their department?
It depends on the circumstance or the situation. I haven't looked, but I suspect Patrick is nearby. Make your way to the podium, please. What I have observed when I'm driving in Griffin and it's still dark, there are buses everywhere. What enables me to have a little bit more ease in breathing is that I see white vehicles that have our logo on those on the sides, meaning that we can get to places where children are. Again, not all of our buses stay in Griffin. If there was a bus coming from someplace or going to someplace outside of Griffin, beyond hours, we've got to drive to here, get into another vehicle, then go back there. So you don't see a lot of them, but
Right.
I just wanted you to know from what I gather, it's about efficiency, and I saw it in operation a couple weeks back. But again, Mr. Martin, share with the board, if you would, what that looks like and what it could look like if the structure changed.
Good afternoon, board. So pretty much what Dr. Simmons is speaking to is correct. There's a lot of inefficiencies if you was to come here, pick the vehicle up, and go assist a vehicle. Keep in mind, some of our trips, they go out of town, out of the state, if you will, in the event that bus breaks down, knock on wood, we do have to send a unit out to repair that vehicle. In the event that there's an accident, or hopefully that never happens, but in the real world, anytime that something happens, particularly late in the evening where a mechanic is called out, I will respond out, whether if it's not myself, my assistant director respond out for the students that's aboard the bus. That's facilitating calls with the dispatch, facilitating calls with 911 emergency. So we don't, again, kind of to the back point for us this just happened 2 weeks ago. I get a call at 9 o'clock, and I had to report to a location that pulls a bus over. I don't have this, I don't want to wait to go to the district, pick up a person's the district vehicle, then respond out where we have students aboard the bus, driver that's having an issue with the routing, if you will. Those are times associated with it, costs associated with it, just to kind of name a few. Now, that's just one example of things like that. We start our routes as early as 5:15 in some cases, and we're on the road as late as 7 o'clock for some after-school programs, if you will, as well as over the weekend, Saturdays and Sundays. I've been called Easter. I got a call, so I had to go right then. I guess the overall arching point, kind of what Dr. Simmons alluding to, there's a generated cost for those. There's time associated with it, personnel, as well as the rotation of employees of mechanics that when they're on shift, there may be a situation, say now a lot of these things I did inherit before my tenure here, but I do see the benefit of, in the event that an accident happened that requires 2 or 3 mechanics to go service a bus, I can see that benefit of that, as opposed to someone staff related to go out to that site, because 85% of the time, if a mechanic goes out after hours, either myself or Ms. Elam will head out to that location in the event if it's a accident, if you will, to make sure those students are taken care of. We make contact with the schools, and schools make contact with their families. So,
Okay, so how many situations have you come up where you've had at least 2 or 3 technicians having to go to one scene to fix a bus?
well, we do have a real healthy fleet. I would say over this past year, from January until now, there's been 3 occasions that we have to go out.
That all 3 had to go to one
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the question was, how many times where all 3 people had to go to fix one bus?
We haven't had that
Okay.
case.
And so I believe that what we can do, Dr. Simmons, is schedule. So if you have a person that's on call 1 month, or however you want to do it, that's on call, that can do it in the event that is needed, a second or third person is needed, then we can deal with that. But I think that we can do this better by scheduling. And if Mr. Martin or his assistant director or the fleet, whoever it needs to happen, I just think that we need to look at how we're currently, the current structure of it, and make some changes.
Absolutely. We will do what the board desires.
All right, is there any other comments to this?
There's a driver who drives out of Rehoboth and works at Spalding.
Hold on.
I was going to use my teacher voice. Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Brown.
No, you're good.
So there's a driver who drives out of Rehoboth and works out of Spalding between 9 and 1:30. Transportation makes her drive all the way back to the bus shop after her last student drop and drop off her bus, get in her personal car, and drive all the way back to Spalding. She has to leave at 1:30 to go back to the bus shop to get her bus and then go back to Rehoboth to pick up her students for dismissal.
So
I guess the point is, we're not only talking about people in management positions, we're also talking about the people that actually do the work for the organization. Does that make sense?
yes. And we do make,
For clarification, Ms. McDonald, can you repeat the question so Dr. Simmons and I can hear you? We were having a sidebar.
Okay, so someone watching sent this to me, okay? So there's a driver who drives out of Rehoboth and works out of Spalding between 9 and 1:30. Transportation makes her drive all the way back to the bus shop after her last student drop off her bus, get in her personal car and drive all the way back to Spalding. She has to leave at 1:30 to go back to the bus shop to get her bus and then go back to Rehoboth to pick her students up for dismissal. So my point is, it not only affects people in upper management, it's also affecting our employees that are actually doing the work. Correct?
correct. Now, we do make concessions for some employees that request to park out, and that's a number of the buses that you see listed, that they ask, hey, is it possible I can park at the school or at the home? We do make those concessions. We do have some that park at the home overnight, and some only park, midday, So
I think if nothing else, the entire situation or in situations can be looked at. And I appreciate Ms. Register bringing this up, but it's not that, I don't think anyone on this board is just going to go, that's not why we're doing this. That's not why Ms. Register brought this up. Number one, she brought it up because her constituents brought it to her attention. And they do deserve an answer, and I believe that. So I think there's always good that can come from not really an investigation, but just looking at your employees that do what this person just sent to me. So I think there's always good that can come from a discussion and just look at everything. That's what I want from this as a board member.
Any other discussion? All righty, thank you so much, Mr. Martin. All right, Gibson audit, DES audit update, the report is not ready, so we're gonna move this item to the April work session. The report is not ready, so we will remove this item until the April work session. Next item is Superintendent Cabinet Central Office monthly reports. Dr. Simmons met with Central Office staff today to really go over this particular item, and I like how he worded it, the who, the what, and the why, or the how, the what, and the why. And so in doing that, we are looking to he's always said that you have two roles in a school district. You either got folks that are teaching or you got folks that are supporting. And our central office are the folks that are supporting our schools. And so what we want us to do with this impact report is to people that are in central office, when you are engaging and going out to the schools, we put it on the report, and he went through all of that today. And I think that the myth or whatever people were thinking has been cleared up. So I just want to say thank you for doing that meeting today to where you're able to clear that up. And so I think that we will be able to move forward and people will be at ease and at rest, being that they have heard from Dr. Simmons as it relates to this particular item and how we're going to move forward with that. So I think that conversation went over very well today. I was here, and Ms. McDonald was here as well to witness that. Are there any other comments or discussion for that particular item from the board? No. All right, next up, February 2025 BOE Financial Report, Mr. Byron Moneybag Yo Jones. Hype me up.
Thank you for that gracious introduction at this late hour. I just woke up. So this is 8 months into the financial year. For February 28th, I wanted to tell you a couple of different things about our balance sheet here. So over on the left, we are on the bottom left yellow, about $52 million in fund balance. We have added a column to its immediate right, debt service fund, and I wanted to point your attention. So we have just begun our first annual debt service payment on the $49 million bonds. So for FY 25, $1.219 million is what we owed. That was made on February 28th. So over to the right, we have nutrition fund balance about close approaching $4 million at the end of February. Our general fund operating statement, $7.2 million for the month of February on $10.4 million in expense. So we're still to the good, about $6.3 million. So far, again, for the new board members, that will continue to decline because our property tax revenues, we've already received the majority of that. So I'll continue to keep you updated on that trend as we get to the last few months of the fiscal year. The next one is our special revenue funds. Again, we've got our revenues at the top. If you see a bottom with a negative, that's just we need to do a drawdown with the Department of Education. We're still working with the state on some of our grants, so we'll have that cleaned up for you moving forward. Page 4 is our nutrition operating statement, $5.5 million total for the year in revenues, $5.1 million in expense. So about $450,000 to the good right now, and that's just in this current operating year. Our investment register, again, about $111 million. Two main items. The very first one at the top, $34 million over on the top left. That's just we reinvest some of our local Wells Fargo operating money at a higher interest rate at 4.43 with the state. And then the bottom item of $46 million on the left is our bond funds through the end of February that we're still holding on to right now. And our last page, our SPLOST receipts, we did dip down a little bit. We're still over $1 million, so we haven't dropped below $1 million for this fiscal year. So 7 months through here, again, it runs a month in arrears. We're at about $8.4 million so far year to date. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
The report from Mr. Jones as it relates to the February 2025 BOE financial report. Are there any questions at this time? Hearing none, thank you so much, Mr. Jones. We have two informational items: construction renovation progress summary, November 301, January to February, and monthly facilities maintenance report for February 2025. This time we'll move to governance team comments. We'll start with our senior member of the board, our dean and leader, Zachary Holmes.
None on this end, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you so much. We'll now go to register of the second.
I'm sorry, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. McDonald of the fifth.
And Mr. Brown, thank you.
All right, Weldon of the fourth. All right, and Brown of first. We are Gucci. All right, next up, we do have executive session to consult and meet with legal counsel pertaining to pending or potential litigation. May I get what is the pleasure of this body as it relates to executive session?
So moved.
All right. All right. Ms. McDonald and Ms. McRegister, a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All right, 5-0 to go into executive session. Thank you.